The life of Modest Petrovich Mussorgsky. Modest Petrovich Mussorgsky was a Russian composer, best known for his unique and innovative approach to classical music. Mussorgsky was born on March 21, 1839 in Karevo, Russia, and grew up in a family with modest means. His father was a landowner, and his mother was a singer and amateur pianist. Despite the financial difficulties of his family, Mussorgsky became interested in music from a young age and showed a natural talent for it. Mussorgsky's musical education began at the age of 6, when he began taking piano lessons from his mother. Later, he studied at the elite St. Petersburg School for officers' daughters, where he received a comprehensive education in literature, history, and music. It was at this time that Mussorgsky first became interested in composing and wrote his first piano piece at the age of 9. After graduating from school, Mussorgsky joined the Russian Imperial Guard as a junior officer. However, he soon became disillusioned with military life and resigned to pursue a musical career. Mussorgsky's family was initially skeptical of his decision, as they believed that it would be difficult for him to make a living as a composer. But Mussorgsky was determined to follow his passion and enrolled at the St. Petersburg Conservatory to study composition and music theory. At the conservatory, Mussorgsky became acquainted with a wide range of musical styles, from the traditional Russian classical music of Mikhail Glinka to the more avant-garde works of Franz Liszt. He was deeply influenced by the works of Russian nationalist composers such as Alexander Dolgomitsky and Mily Balakayev, who glorified the folk traditions of their country in their music. This influence can be traced in many of Mussorgsky's works, which often include Russian folk melodies and themes. Mussorgsky's early writings were met with mixed reviews. Some critics praised his bold and innovative style, while others criticized his lack of formal training. Despite the ambiguous reception, Mussorgsky continued to experiment and develop his style, drawing inspiration from Russian literature and folk tales. In 1867, he completed his first opera, The Marriage, based on the novella by Nikolai Gogol. The opera was well received and marked the beginning of Mussorgsky's successful career as a composer. In 1865, Mussorgsky's life took a tragic turn when his mother died. Devastated by her death, he turned to alcohol in search of solace, which further aggravated his financial and health problems. He also became increasingly isolated and distanced himself from his friends and the music community. Despite the difficulties, Mussorgsky continued to compose and completed his most famous work, Paintings at the Exhibition, in 1874. The Suite, inspired by an art exhibition of paintings by his late friend Victor Hartmann, is considered one of Mussorgsky's greatest works and has been adapted by many other composers. One of Mussorgsky's most famous works is his opera Boris Godunov, based on a play by Alexander Pushkin. The Russian opera tells the story of the rise and fall of the Russian Tsar Boris Godunov and is considered a masterpiece of Russian opera. The Russian folk melodies used by Mussorgsky and the inclusion of elements of Russian speech in the music further strengthened his reputation as a nationalist composer. Despite his success, Mussorgsky struggled with alcoholism and financial instability. He often relied on the support of his friends and family to survive. In 1874, his close friend and fellow composer Modest Rimsky-Korsakov helped him get a government job at the Ministry of Railways, which provided him with a stable income. However, due to work, he had little time to focus on writing, and his productivity slowed down significantly. Unfortunately, Mussorgsky's health continued to deteriorate, and he died on March 28, 1881, at the age of 42. He left behind many works that were both innovative and influential, and his legacy continues to inspire composers to this day. Many of his works, such as Night on Bald Mountain and Kovanshina, have become the basis of the classical repertoire and are loved by audiences around the world. In conclusion, we note that Modest Petrovich Mussorgsky was an innovative composer who revolutionized Russian classical music. His music was distinguished by a bold and innovative style that incorporated elements of Russian folk music and literature. Despite numerous personal and financial difficulties, Mussorgsky remained devoted to his craft and left behind a legacy that continues to inspire generations of musicians. His contribution to classical music cemented his place as one of the most famous composers in Russian history.